You don't need friends. You don't need a boyfriend or a girlfriend. When you need someone or something so bad with you all the time, that neediness is data. It is pointing at something unresolved inside you. When you're so desperate for something to complete you, it signals that you yourself still have an ongoing underlying problem inside you. So, in this real world, what you need to do is prioritizing the future version of you instead of seeking, you know, social circle, which is in fact like they're not gonna do anything for you. Imagine, right? You got 20 friends, and then seriously, how many friends can you call when um your money is like in trouble and you need some money from someone? I believe that it narrows to like only a few, perhaps even zero. And trying to maintain this much of people in your circle is really, really time wasting, seriously. Instead of, trying to distribute your time to these people, like Monday, I'm gonna hang out with Josh. Tuesday, I'm gonna go with Angela. Thursday, I'm gonna go with Josh and Angela. And like, where's your time? Like, seriously, you spend a bunch of time with these people or trying to, you know, press them so that they can see you as their friends. But what you actually are without them is nothing. You have a hole, like a huge gap inside of you that you didn't solve it. You're trying to solve it temporarily by having them surrounding you so that you will feel complete. I really believe that skills and self-worth are non-negotiable because imagine, right, if you're always dependent on others in anything, like if you have a homework, oh, I can't do this, I really need to find someone to help me. Like, do you really think that like those people are gonna always be available for you? Absolutely not, because you can't rely on yourself. One day, if these people are gone for some reason, you will have nobody to rely on. Think about it. Seriously, independence is not something financial, but it is psychological. It means that you can lose the relationship, lose the friends, lose the social circle, and still know who you are. That is what it means to be mentally independent. You don't really need, like, once you're strong enough mentally, you're not gonna seek social validation at all. Seriously, I've been in solitude for a few years now, since like my last year in high school. I don't go out, like I don't go to the clubs just so that people can, you know, see me as one of their friends. I don't want that. Like at the end of the day, imagine, okay, if they see you, then what? It is just temporary, and in fact, people they always think about themselves. Do you really think that you're gonna be on someone's mind 24/7? Of course not. You are only like the main character in your head, not in others. Seriously. So you really need to build like your inner like strength by yourself, not by having some fancy materials or something to flex on others. That is not like something real. You really have to think that, okay, who am I without these things? Who am I without these people? Without my parents, without my friends, without my dog? That is your actual value that you need to be able to answer it. You won't be ready if you haven't built yourself. If you're trying to like find like new friends because you're so desperate, or like a boyfriend or girlfriend, right? But imagine if those friends, they are really intelligent and you really fuck with them. But if you're still dumbass motherfucker and still have zero idea what they are talking about with um mechanical like chemical mixture or how physics works, you're gonna be dumb as hell. Like you're not gonna be compatible with them because you have zero idea what they're talking about. So that if you want to be friends with them, you got to build yourself, not to please them, but build yourself based on your own interests and enjoyment. And one day you will find your own community. And if you want to find like your partner, right, like a boyfriend, girlfriend, it is also essential to build yourself first instead of trying to look for someone and building it together. Of course, I'm not saying that when you're together, you both must be fully complete. I'm not saying that you both still need to grow, alongside each other. But what I'm saying is you need to build enough skills so that the person who will come next, you will be ready for that. Not not devastate your relationship by being not ready, because you're gonna regret it afterward that you did not try to build yourself beforehand. Okay? Imagine, right? If right now you're so desperate, like you want a girlfriend, like just anyone who's just beautiful and who loves me the way I am. But then when she came up to you, what you did is just you brought insecurity, emotional dependence, your unresolved questions about who you are into that relationship. And what will happen eventually is you yourself will destroy that relationship. And you don't really want it to happen. Seriously. So, solitude is not the problem here. Okay? It is the training ground that everyone needs to master if you want to have a healthy life in the future. You don't want to be broken over and over and over again, right? Nobody likes it, but if you're gonna keep finding, new people all the time, then that's what you're gonna get, man. The ability to be alone, and what I mean by alone, I mean truly alone, okay? Without distraction, without noise, is one of the rarest and most powerful things a person can develop, because it means that you now have grown to the point where you don't need anything to complete you, to fill the gap inside you because you already feel it yourself. You know your worth, you know your self esteem, and you don't you don't just like go around and like ask people like, can you please be my friends? I really want to be a friend with you. You're so cool. It shows, but like it really exhibits desperation through your action. And when crisis hits, right, and it will, the people who survive it psychologically are the ones who had something inside them that didn't depend on external variables. A relationship, most of the time, it it always ends when you're not ready, when your mentality is not strong enough, and one day your friend group will dissolve, a social environment collapses. These things devastate people who build their identity around those things. But if your identity is built on who you are, what you know, what you've built, what you stand for, then none of those external variables can touch the core of you. That is not coldness. That is the most loving thing that you can do for yourself and for the people who will in the future be in your life. Show up as someone whole, not someone who constantly keeps searching for validation. Okay? Stop looking for someone to complete you. Become someone who doesn't need completing, and watch how different the people show up in your life will be.